All right. Looks like we have a few people on right now. Welcome everyone to our webinar tonight with Superior Sports Performance. I think there'll be some more coming in here in just a little bit. Hopefully you can hear me okay. And just a second, I have some more people coming in. So we have tonight, we have Rob. I'm not going to say his last name because it's really long and he can say it, but he is the creator of Superior Sports Performance, and we are absolutely lucky to have him this evening give his time and expertise to ISDTA to talk about strength and conditioning for our dancers specifically. So he has a great webinar of content for us and showing us examples to help out our teams to be successful. So what I'm going to do is turn this over to Rob so that we can go ahead and get started. And as we go throughout, there'll be breaks for questions, and you can use the chat feature to ask those questions, which can be found at the very bottom of your screen. There should be an icon that says chat, and you just click on it and you type in your question. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Rob.
Great. Thank you, Andrea. And let me just start off by saying I thank you greatly for giving me this opportunity to chat with you all this evening, taking an hour out of your time. And more importantly, hopefully by the end of this presentation, I could have contributed positively to not only all of you coaches on the phone, but also to your organization, ISDTA. So again, like you noted, at the end of each section, I'll go ahead and pause, answer questions via chat, and certainly feel free to let them fly. So with that being said, I'm just going to do a quick introduction of myself and the company, and really focus on this evening's presentation on the bulk of what is important to you as dance coaches and to your athletes as it relates to athletic fitness and improving their ability to execute their skills at a higher level, and how we can help with that. So as Andrea defaulted and chose not to say my last name, which is the majority of the population out there, which is 90%, I too myself go and have reservations and put my last name under as Lang. But it's Rob Langeneckert, and I am a personal certified trainer and strength and conditioning coach. I have been involved with training for about 15 years, but over the last 8 to 10 years, have decided to throw myself exclusively into the sport of dance and cheerleading. And what we basically do is focus on a training philosophy that is centered around the skills that are needed to perform at optimal levels for whether it be studio dance or competition dance from a team's perspective. And how do you relate those type of skills from a athletic development, strength and conditioning standpoint? And so we, myself and our team, have invested all of our time to learn and understand the sport of dance that dates back to some of its most humble beginnings, going all the way back to the art of ballet. We as an organization, we design aerobic and anaerobic training programs, as mentioned before, for studio dancers, competition dance, and cheer teams. Today, we're not going to talk about cheer. We're just going to focus on dance. What we do here is, as the video decides to play here, sorry about that, guys. We are strictly focused on maximizing all types of workouts that are customized not only for teams, but individuals. And I want to pause and talk about individuals. Many of you may have questions as we go along this presentation to say, I don't have time to get my entire team to have a formal workout. That's okay. We design workout plans for dancers outside of practice based on what coaches desire the outcome to be. We work with coaches and try to find out what type of choreography you have in your routine, what skills you have in your routines, and we develop the workouts specifically so that you can generate the highest execution on each individual for that routine. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But the other part of our bread and butter is that we deliver our training methodology through 3 phases. And we'll talk about that more as the presentation progresses. But those phases are preseason, or I should say in-season, competition season, postseason, and in some cases, preseason. All right. Some of these things that to take away that you can see that we focus on, which are important, is customizing workouts for teams and individuals. Coaches, we help you with your planning, which is important. Many coaches we talk to throughout the country say, look, I don't have time to design a workout, but yet I want one. We basically do that and we take that away from you so you can concentrate on your choreography, cleaning routines, focusing on skills, and we put together the workouts so that you can just say, look, we don't have to deal with it, you deal with it. The other thing that we do is we save your time. We establish a new program regimen that can be easily implemented on your campus or off campus with your strength and conditioning coach, with your coach, with your captain, or even in some cases with parents or other teammates offsite. All right, that's our company in a nutshell. Certainly I would ask all of you, if you have time, to go to our website, which is www.sspfit.com. You can learn a lot more about our organization. You'll see a good testimonial. I was talking to Andrea before we got started here, and it's important for you all to know that for me personally, I am mutually invested in this sport. The history of how we came together as an organization is that the coach of St. Ambrose University, my wife, Danelle Langenecker, used to be Danelle Stanger, has been coaching at this university for going on 10 years now. When I was doing training for another sport unrelated to dance and cheer, I would observe. And I would observe how difficult the sport of dance is and what it takes, you know, day in and day out, practice to practice, whether you're coming from studio and going to practice or just doing studio or just doing team practice, it takes a lot of work to execute at the highest level. And when I look at what dancers have to do to get prepared from a workout standpoint, I am amazed. I take a step back and say, you know what? Dancers have to work harder, and it's unbeknownst to any other sport, unbeknownst to most trainers, whether it be at a high school level or a college level, that their workouts are at most times more grueling and more difficult when done correctly than football, baseball, basketball, you name the top 5 sports that most people play. And that to me is impressive. And to me, I wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to say, look, your sport has been evolving. It has evolved over the last 10 years. It has evolved over the last 3 years. The skills that are demanded from your dancers have multiplied times 10 from where they used to be. You know, now people are being asked to do kip-ups on a consistent basis. People are being asked to do aerials. People are being asked to do going from, you know, what used to be fine, doing a double, then to a triple, then to a quad. In order to do that, at some point in the routine, you've got to be physically fit. You've got to be able to be 100% at 75% of the way through your routine as you were at the beginning of the routine. And that's where we feel passionate about helping you as coaches get your team to that point. So I'll pause there, take a look to see if you have any questions relative to our company. And if there is no other questions, I can go ahead and move on. I don't see anything coming in from the chat, so I'll pause 30 seconds and move on. Okay, now here we go. This should be a lot of fun for many of you. One of the things I love to start out by doing is talking, and I don't know if we have any strength and conditioning coaches or any high school trainers or college trainers on the line, but I hope we do. And I hope that we have some people that have been involved in fitness at some point in their past. And this could be a very good eye-opening experience to some of you. Some of you may be, hey, I already know this, Rob. But the common mistakes that people make and how to avoid pitfalls, it's very, very easy. So when I take a look at, one second, guys, having technical difficulty. We talk about training without the sport of dance in mind. And I'm going to repeat that, training without the sport of dance in mind. And what I mean by that is, before we go there, I got to come back because I'm cheating here. What I mean by that is so many people will give dancers workouts, very similar to workouts that other sports do. But the question is, why are you giving dancers those same workouts? Why are dancers doing just sprints? Why are dancers, some dancers, why are they doing squats in the weight room? And I'm not going to answer that for you right now, but I want to put that in everybody's mind. Training without the sport of dance in mind is wrong. So what we do at SSP is we focus on implementing every single movement we do in a workout that is dance related. So you're going to look at two videos here that are playing, and we'll stop these videos in just a second and I'll explain, of a movement which is called a single leg deadlift. It's very popular in both the sport of dance and cheer, or has been, because it focuses on core stability and the efficiency of movement. However, when many people subscribe or prescribe a single leg deadlift, what they do is they focus on doing the traditional movement. And this video will come up again here in just a second. The traditional movement, as you see right here, if everybody can see this, and I'm going to pause in a second, is what you would do if you weren't a dancer. And I'm going to pause that. And we're taking a look above here, what we refer to it as a penché deadlift, using the skill of dance in a penché movement, incorporating it into a deadlift. Let me go back here. Okay, I'm going to pause her. Okay, and I'm going to pause her. Okay, so now let's take a look at the difference here. Right up here is a dancer doing a single leg deadlift, which is, for us, we refer to as a single leg penché deadlift. You'll see here, when we draw a line from a technical standpoint, we want to incorporate straight legs and pointed toes. We also want to incorporate not full flexion. We want slight flexion because we want concentration on the hamstring, taking away a little bit of the work from the quads and generating full range of motion. Now we'll take a look at your traditional single leg deadlift, and she's not doing, the girl down below is not doing anything wrong. This is great technique. But now let's take a look at where she's at in the position that she should be. See the difference here. You see the upright position. You see the full tabletop position, flat back, chin slightly parallel to the floor, not a lot of flexion. We have more flexion here in the knee. And so what she's working on a lot of hip flexion, more quad, and taking away the hamstring right here. She's taking away the hamstring. This dancer is incorporating the hamstring. She's forcing herself into a dance-related position with technique, focusing on stabilizing that knee and focus on stabilizing and tightening the core. So when I talked earlier about training with the sport in mind, that's what I mean. Do we really examine the difference? Do we take the time to understand when we are having a dancer do a workout, are they incorporating technique into their workout, and why that's important? When you spend time practicing, you focus on technique. Everything that you do, whether it's a workout or practice, should be with some form of technique. Understand what you're trying to accomplish. How do you avoid the mistakes in your workout? Train with the sport of dance in mind. Okay, what can go wrong if you don't train with the sport in mind? You can, and we all know as dancers, you want to have great range of motion. Great range of motion and great flexibility. What can go wrong? You'd have poor range of motion, risk of injury, lack of ability to generate power, reduced performance, and failure to execute skills as intended. We're going to talk about this lactic threshold a little bit later. This gets a little bit, science related, but yet it's important, especially when you talk about how hard can your athlete go? How far can they go and perform before their legs are on fire, their lungs are on fire, and how do they manage through that? And we'll talk about that in a little bit later in the presentation. I'm going to pause here for questions. And then, Andrea, I'm going to ask if you could, my chat has been disabled temporarily while I bring it back up. Does anybody have any questions at this point? Okay.
Yep, I'm not seeing any, Rob.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Andrea.
Yep.
All right, so we're going to go to our next section, and we're going to spend a little bit of time here. And this will be important for you all to really, take good notes. If you have questions, please do so. Learn how to maximize your workouts. What are the key drivers to success? When we go and we talk to coaches, we're asked that a lot. Why is your program so much more effective? How do you get these dancers or on teams that you guys work with to the level that they are? And my first response is, gosh, that's a really nice compliment because you're obviously seeing the fruits of our labor pay off. But then my second response is we don't do anything. It's all the athletes. The athletes have to be committed to your program. And what I mean by that program, that's not your program just on practice and the routine itself. It's everything. And that includes workouts. They've got to be committed. They've got to be bought in. And the teams that are most successful with transformation in their athleticism are the teams that come in at the beginning of the season that knows it's a process, that knows that workouts are just as important as practicing the routines themselves. And that's important. And, the thing is that what are the key drivers of success? The key drivers of success are people that really focus on workouts on phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, all the way up to their competition season, doing what their coach says and understanding why they're training. What is the purpose for their training? So when we work with coaches, we look at 3 key areas. The right plan. How do you approach that plan with your athletes? And what is the desired right outcome? And all of these key terms here on this sheet are relative because it all should go into evaluating and deciding how you develop a workout plan. 1, what type of team do you have? Evaluate athletic capacity. Do you have individuals that are coming to you that have no fitness, but have great technique and have good experience from a studio standpoint? Or do you have a team that comes to you that are in phenomenal shape? Or maybe you have a small team. Maybe you have a large team. What does that team look like and what are they able to give you? enhancing movement and efficiency and agility. That's important. It's not just becoming, cardio centric, improving aerobic and anaerobic capacity, but it is about efficiency. We talked about range of motion. Getting good range of motion in everything you do is important, because you could do a workout wrong and detriment your athletes by reducing their range of motion. And dancers have to have great range of motion. Hyperextension, you want to pass the point of range of motion. Stabilizing and strengthening the core. Core. That's something I learned from Coach Langeneckert a long time ago, that in everything that she does, every athlete that she touches, she expects them to have a rock solid core. And that doesn't mean that they're showing a 6-pack or 8 packs of abs. As a matter of fact, she'd always tell me, I could care less what their abs look like. But you know what? I do care how strong their core is. I care about when they do their turns, when they do their leaps. I want them to engage their core to the level that they've never engaged their core before. And so when you're doing workouts, it's not just getting your athletes in a line and doing crunches, leg lifts, V-ups, and doing that for 5 minutes and doing it for 200 to 300 reps. That's the wrong way. I usually have a debate with a lot of people saying, hey, Rob, what about 5-minute abs, 10-minute abs? Yeah, that's great. It's a great marketing ploy that happened about 10 years ago, and it does work. But for dancers, you need to engage your core in everything you do. So when you're developing a workout plan, you are developing workouts that are incorporating the core, and then you're also doing ab workouts as a part of that. But you're not doing just a portion of it, core work, and just a portion of aerobic work or anaerobic work. You're incorporating that all together so that they're always engaging the core. Remember, most coaches on this webinar right now have been a dancer at one point in their life. And you know that throughout the entire routine, your core doesn't take a break. So why should a dancer's core take a break during their workouts? Optimizing flexibility, knowing the difference between static stretching and dynamic stretching. Never start a workout by doing a static stretch, meaning you're holding your stretch. That's just a recipe for future injury. You dynamic stretch, which is movement of the joints, and you do static stretching at an end of a workout where your muscles are warm. And that's really where you increase that elasticity. That's when flexibility is at its best. Using strength platforms for explosive performance, this is where your sport has changed dramatically. Coaches that I meet with are always asking, Rob, I want toe touches higher. Help me with that. Help me get them hyperextended. Help my girls and guys do, kip ups and head springs and not have their butt touch the floor. Help me with those. Those are things that we'll touch base just briefly on, that you'll learn more in our coaches clinic when we have a longer period of time, that really focus on fast twitch development. That is using the muscles for just a quick second, but needing that muscle and that explosiveness at that time to achieve maximum or optimal explosiveness. Heights and jumps, optimizing jumping and landing. Landing is just as important as jumping. And we talked about generating anaerobic power. So this is the guidebook. This is the recipe for coaches. Look at these 7 key areas and ask yourself, am I checking the box at each one of these when I am developing a workout plan? Okay. When we talk about developing a workout plan, this is what we do. This is our recipe. At Superior Sports Performance, this is our workout structure. We start with dynamic stretching, and then we go into a band warm-up, and it's with resistant bands. I am very pro resistant bands. I am very anti ankle weights. And some coaches may be like, oh, well, I use ankle weights now. How dare you say that, Rob? But you know what? That's okay. Everybody can have a difference of opinion. The reason why I don't like ankle weights is that it puts more pressure on your joints. And you don't want that. The reason why I like resistant bands is that it produces both positive and negative resistance. Ankle weights generally only produce negative resistance. You have gravity of the weight pushing you down. and it is the force that's generating that gravity pull is generally on your joint. If you're using light ankle weights, you may not feel it right away, but it is happening slowly but surely. It is. So resistance bands we favor over ankle weights, and then we go into the design phase workout, and that incorporates any of these things. Plyometrics, very important for dancers to incorporate into workouts. Your core development, cardiorespiratory training, lactic acid threshold management. And that really is the difference between when you look at teams that are able, you know who those teams are when you watch them perform. Man, that was an athletic performance. They just book through that routine with precision. That's because those teams are able to get to a certain lactic threshold and manage that. And we'll get into that more in a little bit. And at the very end of the workout, static stretching, a cool down. And going back to number 3, when I talk about design phase workouts, what we do at SSP, and which I encourage all of you coaches to do, is look at your season when they start school. They start school and they're getting ready to dance at football games, hold pep rallies. You've started your preseason. Then you go to in-season, and then you go to competition season. Those 3 buckets are how we gauge what type of program you should be giving to your team. It's different in the beginning. You don't want to go too aggressive on a workout in the month of August or September, because if you're competing at state at the end of November, early December, you don't want to be hitting your girls and guys so hard in the month of September that they're not able to peak come November. And you also want to minimize risk to injury. Okay. What I just talked about, I mentioned earlier that a lot of coaches don't like going through that process. They don't like developing the workouts. They don't like understanding, when and how and where to put things and how to get the most out of their athletes, whether like you have a small team, large team, you have no time because you only have an hour of practice. How do you do it outside of practice? How do you do it on the individual basis? How do you hold them accountable outside of practice doing their workouts? How do you track it? What's the progression plan? So one of the things we do at SSP is we offer anybody, any coach, to become a member. And when you become a member, you're able to save valuable times. You're able to go, and we even say from a coach standpoint, if your strength and conditioning trainer wants to become a member, they can. So they can just go into our private Facebook site once they become a member, and then just have a plethora or a multitude of information at their hands. You'll have videos of specific movements. You'll have workouts. You'll have sets. You'll have reps. You'll have workouts for small teams, mid-sized teams, large teams. I'm talking small teams of 6 people, mids of 12, large of 20 plus. You'll have workouts specifically geared for pom, for jazz, lyrical, for hip hop. You'll have specific skills. So if you have people on your team needing to improve on their kip ups, you'll have a workout that you can give to maybe not your whole team, but an individual, and say, hey, Sally, I need you to do this workout 2 times a week. And we're going to show you that. In this presentation, we have a demo of a workout that individuals can use on their own to develop a specific skill. But before I leave this section, I just want to tell you that this was designed so that coaches like yourself have a place to go, that if they don't want to deal with workouts, they'll have a workout plan specifically designed for them. Myself and my other coaches at SSP are engaged with our members. You can, once you become a member, you can ask us questions. You could send us videos. We can help you. We can help you design custom things that may not be available to you on our site. Anything you may need. But again, go to our website. You'll have more information to take a look at that. Okay. I'm going to pause here, and we're going to get to some specific videos on a workout, both on an individual standpoint and on a team standpoint. Do we have any questions?
Oh, looks like we have a question. How much is a monthly subscription for coaches?
So a monthly subscription for coaches is, I believe, 120. Gosh, I should know this off the top of my head. I think it's $129 per month. That's horrible of me, Andrea.
That's okay.
Yes.
And how do they go about, do they just contact you directly on SSP Fit?
Nope, you can go right to our website and you can subscribe on your own. And so once you go on our website, it's got all the information. You just hit subscribe. It'll take you through the payment process, which is very simple. It's almost scary. It's like 2 clicks and you're done. And then within 24 hours, you will have access. You'll be invited to the private site and be able to use all the tools and all of the documents and all of the videos that are available.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
And it is $129, Andrea.
Okay, $129. Got it. All right, I'm not seeing any other questions pop up yet.
Okay, very good. All right, next section, we're going to talk about learning effective strategies to get results fast. What do we know? What do we need to know to train? So again, whether you use us or you do it on your own, here's the time that I'm going to take to really teach you the elements on how to be a successful trainer when it comes to implementing workouts for dance. Okay. All right. How can I make a workout go right? It's a question that I'm asked all the time. And the first thing we say, and remember about 10 minutes ago, we talked about doing your workout with the sport in mind. And again, how can I make a workout go right? Make it specific to a desired outcome. Whether you do it on a team standpoint or an individual standpoint. And I'll talk about the team standpoint first. If you are at the beginning of your season and all you want is to establish an aerobic base and start to incorporate some core and some strength work or fast twitch muscle work, some explosion work, that's good. You know, maybe you do that in phase 1. And then in phase 2, you're thinking, well, you know what? Now our girls have to really, and guys have to start gearing up because we've got ISDTA state coming, and we got to now start really putting the pedal to the metal. Well, your workout changes, but it has to be for a specific outcome. What is that outcome? Is it POM? Is it jazz? And what are you deficient in, or what are you strong in? And maybe you have a team that can do some great toe touches. A lot of them are hyperextended, but you want them to get them higher. It is just as important to focus on your strengths as it is your weaknesses. So this video that I'm going to show is an individual workout. This was a coach that came to us about a year ago and said, Rob, we don't have a lot of time, but I want to incorporate over the summertime my team to be on a regimen of specific workouts. They're going to help improve X, Y, and Z. And this coach said, hey, I want you to get our dancers ready coming into school in August and September with the ability to jump higher, have better toe touches, and get their kip ups stronger. How do we do that? And how do we do that when they're not with me and they're on summer break? And so we started developing individual videos that coaches now can incorporate into their private Facebook or private YouTube site, or in some cases, private Instagram site that their team and their team only can go access. And their coach can communicate to them through Google Docs. A lot of coaches are using Google Docs because it's a shared drive. So we develop workout logs, which you'll also be able to find if you become a member, that you can use, that go on the Google Docs that you establish that have these individual workouts for your team. and your dancers will go in and say, you know, on July 2nd, and they have a drop-down box, I did the Luke, or I did the Chloe, or I did the Power of 10, I did the 200, or whatever, and this is how long it took me. And, oh, by the way, I did 15 minutes of stretching. And they put that in the shared. So what happens is not only the coach is tracking it, but also your other team members are seeing this. And, you know, I get asked this all the time. Well, how do you do that and prevent people from not, you know, telling the truth? Well, you will know if they're not telling the truth. And what is the desire? What is the desire to lie on a log? No pun intended. But why would a dancer say that they're doing something? This should be helping them. If they're not doing it, then they don't put it on the log. It's as simple as that. But you're tracking it. So anyway, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to let you see the video. When you watch this, I put a note in here. We, at each rep or at each set, we make sure that they're maintaining their heart rate to a certain level. So we don't want them to do a set, take a break, do another set, take a break. We want them to do, we like rope work. We like jump rope. We like single leg movements a lot. We'll do right leg for 30 seconds, left leg for 30 seconds, back to right leg, back to left leg for a total of 2 minutes, and then we'll make them do this again. That's an example. Or we have them do some runs that are specific. So for example, they're going to do skip runs, or they'll do hop runs, not just sprint runs, specific to dancers, and concentrating on those runs during the landings on their hops. So that's why I wanted to add here. So when you watch this video, and I'm going to be quiet, you're going to see it end, but you'll also see a note that says, okay, do 4 sets of these. But right before you do the second set, after this first set's over, you're going to do that 1 to 2 minutes of rope work. You're going to do that 1 to 2 minutes of run work. So I'll stop here. And after this webinar, I encourage you to go to Instagram. It's free for everybody. I've got some examples of some individual workouts that you can all go see. If you want to write this down, it's very simple. The only difference is that we don't have 2 S's. It is the Instagram tag sign is SSP Fitness. So N-E-S. N-E-S. So with further ado, let's play this video. And you can see the video, they have the reps on there for anybody to see. And you can see here, the purpose here is that you get in this position when you're actually doing the pickup. And this is for head spring. And again, this would be for head springs. Pike push-ups, working on tricep and shoulder springs. And complete 4 sets. So I'm going to pause it here and go back up here. So actually, we would say that if you had any questions, we would wait to each section. I'm going to pause here and see if anybody has any questions relative to this. Generally, people do. So I'll pause for about 30 seconds.
All right, anybody have questions?
Okay. If you're slow to type and I see something pop up, I'll go back. Okay. So a couple things that I want to make note, and I'm going to go through this video here and hit a couple pause sections here. Okay. So what you see here, this is tricep work. When you look at videos on this Instagram site or individual videos that you may issue to your team, which is right here, as you can see, we'll have the prescribed reps and what the movement is. And it shows you the tutorial of the movement. So anybody on your team, whether you know, they can do it at the gym, they could do it at home. You don't need a box. You could do it with the chair. That's the thing that we do at SSP, is that we understand that you're athletes may not always have access to equipment, may not always have access to a gym. So we are very cognizant to the fact that can they do a workout with little to no equipment at their home? We try to go down to the grassroots level, and that's what's important. So if we continue to go, we'll show a couple other areas that I want to point out. Here again, 20 reps, shares the reps, leg push-ups, lifts. This is a position that you would get into at some point, engaging the core for your kip-ups. So again, as you look at these individual videos, they have the demo of the athlete, proper technique with the reps and the movement. So when you are talking about, okay, team, we're doing leg push-up lifts in a team workout, your athletes know what those are. They should know the technique, so you don't have to spend a lot of time on teaching the technique of a workout. You can have it designed, ready to roll out, and everybody should know. Okay. The other thing that's important to note is that at SSP, we do coaches clinics. Coaches clinics are generally 3 hours in length, and they're great hands-on learning on how to implement a workout. We've had our last coaching clinic. I haven't done one in a while because we're in the middle of kicking off seasons for a lot of high schools and colleges, so I've just been really involved there. But our last coaches clinic was prior to school starting. And what we do is we make our coaches do some of the movements so they can actually feel the difference. We show them the right way and the wrong way. We also have them design workouts. We have them do group study sessions, whiteboard sessions, and talk about what's most meaningful to them and their schools. So that's the difference between what you can take away from here and then what you may be able to get at the coaches clinic. You are in more of an intimate setting and can be specific to your school and spend time with coaches at SSP and your peers in the room, addressing the obstacles and hurdles you may have to overcome. How do you get over those? How do you implement things to, small teams, mids to large? How do you do it off season, in season, competition season? Just a whole bunch of things. So if you ever get a chance and you see this come across on our website or Instagram, it's a great opportunity for you to participate. Okay, I'm going to talk about this, not in depth. This is what we get into the coaches clinic, but this is just important for you to know and why it's important. So this is a pyramid of how do you establish maximum athletic capacity into your dancers. You need to have all of these, okay? It starts at the very bottom. What VT1 and VT2 mean, so a lot of you that have a background in PT or kinesiology knows what this, or a lot of people just involved in fitness. Ventilatory thresholds, that's what your body goes through. So if you're out walking with a friend and you're having conversation and you're not winded and you're talking about a movie you saw or that you're going to have pizza or whatever, that is operating below VT1. Once you start, running a little bit harder and you're still talking and you have that friend, right, that likes to talk, and that's okay because now it's hard for me to breathe, so I don't really want to respond. Because if she asks me questions or he asks me questions, I'm going to have a hard time running because I can't really talk that well. Now you're going above VT1. You're having a hard time talking. Then all of a sudden we get into a sprint. Now your friend that has the gift of gab has stopped talking completely because they are now fully gassed. They can't talk because they're using everything that they physically can to run. And that is them operating at VT2 at or above. And you can only sustain VT2 for a short period of time. Think about a 100-yard dash. Those sprinters are sprinting for 10, the world record's 9 seconds? That's operating above VT2. You can't sustain that level of effort for a very long period of time. But you think about it from a dance perspective. There's certain parts in a routine that you may be operating at VT1, but then all of a sudden, boom, you got to get to VT2, but then you're back to VT1. That's what happens in a routine that a dancer goes through. And so the reason why I put this in here, and we go into it more in depth in the coaches clinic, is for you to understand as coaches, how do you improve that? How do you improve capacity to get to VT2 for a longer period of time? Well, it starts at the very beginning. You've got to have aerobic efficiency. Then you incorporate anaerobic, which is more strength movements, and the endurance, and then anaerobic power, which is at the top. And again, these are things that we don't have time to talk about today, but it goes more into the coach's clinic. But the reason why it's relative is you'll see here in the next slide, we talk about it. When you're putting together a workout plan, you need to make sure, and this is what we do at SSP, you're looking at, all right, what point of the season am I in? What bucket am I going to focus training on? Is it going to be aerobic-based training, as you can see, the upper left-hand corner, which is basically just focusing on steady state exercise below or at VT1, just like what I talked to you about. You know, you're jogging with a friend and you can have a conversation. You're developing a good base, which is important. You got to have a good base so that when you start to ramp it up, your body is now prone to accepting more of that, you know, rigid work. The other bucket, aerobic efficiency, increasing intensity, incorporating interval training, focusing on range of motion that is now above that VT1, anaerobic endurance. Now, in some of you that do your own workouts, you've heard the terminology, the acronym, you know, HIIT, high interval intensity training. That is what a lot of dancers that are most successful can do. It's really quick burst, back down, little rest, quick burst, back down, little rest, but they're able to recover. They're training themselves to recover. And then anaerobic power training, focusing on that explosiveness, that fast twitch muscle fibers. Okay. Now, what I've also done is given you guys a sneak peek video of a team, and this so happens to be St. Ambrose, just because I was helping them the other morning. So you're going to see some at the college level, and this would be what they refer to and I refer to as our phase 1 preseason workout program. They too, just like the high schools we work with, develop 3 phases: preseason, in-season, and competition season. At high schools, you may start in September and end after your state competition in Des Moines, and that's okay. So maybe you go from you skip phase 1 in preseason and you do phase 2 in season and phase 3 competition season, because you may only have 4 or 5 months. Or 4 months. You don't have a long season that is, 7 months or 8 months. And so you really are going to be doing more in the off season and preparing you for that in season. So again, everything that you see here on the screen right now is customized for teams. So when I share this about St. Ambrose in this video that we're about to play, this is their program right now in phase 1, their preseason. Remember, and I'll go back. Remember when I talked about those buckets? So in phase 1 for their preseason regimen, Coach Langenecker came to me and says, look, here's what I need. I got a bunch of freshmen coming in. They're not very well conditioned. But as you know, at the college level in the NAIA, that dance is considered a sport, and they do what's called the 3-in-1. It's very demanding. It's the 3 disciplines. So it's your jazz, your pom, and your hip hop in whatever particular order. And they're very different, as you all know. And they take different skills. So if a person is going through jazz, they're good. All of a sudden they get to hip hop, which is precision, a lot of arms, a lot of legs. Their legs start burning. They're already gassed from the control of the core they had to engage in jazz, but now they're getting low. They're doing more jump movements, more, snapping movements with hip hop, and now they're really starting to feel their body burn. And oh, by the way, they still have another 30 to 40 seconds of pom yet to go. And they're thinking, holy moly, where am I going to get this from? Now they've got to concentrate on arms. They still got to stay low, but they've got to be clean. And we all know when you start to fatigue, you lose the ability to stay clean and to stay sharp. And so that's what's critical. That's where your training will help you get over that. So for them, for Coach Langenecker, she wants to incorporate out of those 4 buckets we just talked about, aerobic-based training and anaerobic power training. That's all she wants to do. And then in phase 2, she's going to say, hey, I want the workout to be focused on aerobic efficiency training. And then in phase 3, which is her competition season, anaerobic endurance training. This is really where it gets hard. So what you're seeing right now is preseason. It's going to look a little slow for you because they're focusing right now in this workout on anaerobic power training and core work. Really focus on engaging their core so that they can really be more efficient in their aerobic training that usually follows after this work. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and play this video. It's a very short one, and I'll pause after this if you have any questions. Oop. Oop, here we go again. One more time. So I'm going to go back to that, and I want to go back and show you the desired outcome and why we put this together. So this was what Coach Langenecker said. In phase 1, this is what I want from the workouts. I want my girls to develop better range of motion and core stabilizers to prevent injury. I also want to improve power through the fast twitch fiber development. So that's what her desired outcome is. So it is our goal to give that coach a program that would result in these things. Now, if I go back and show a couple of these movements here, you saw a lot of girls doing things. Now, these girls don't stay at the station. It's timed. In this case, this is a 60-second, 30 second on one leg, 30 seconds on another, 60 seconds, move to the next station. You follow the line. So right here, this athlete is doing a single leg lunge hop, working on single leg extremities, focusing on stabilizer of that leg, or the stabilizer muscles in that leg, and generating power in a fixed position. And then what she'll do is she'll move to a core. Remember I talked at the very beginning, workouts that incorporate core engagement in everything you do. So again, I hope that this video was helpful to kind of see how everything has been brought full circle. And then I'm going to pause here, and if you have any questions, please take time today, ask me anything you want. Check out our Instagram site, visit Facebook, visit our website, sspfit.com. That will really give you a lot of information. And I encourage you guys after this webinar, please, call me, send me an email, and, I'll help you with whatever I can. So Andrea, I'm going to turn it over to you and see if there's any questions that have come in.
Sure. I'm not seeing any quite yet. Oh, is the 60-second interval last until every girl has done everything?
So no, great question. This is where it's customized. So some of the questions that I got prior to this was, we don't necessarily have a lot of time. So for St. Ambrose, they do have a lot of time. They do their morning workouts. So that 60-second interval, once 60 seconds is up, the girl goes to the next station. Once that 60 seconds is up, they just follow the line for 20 minutes. So they continue to cycle through that for 20 minutes. So they may hit those single leg lunge jumps 3 times throughout that prescribed program. But there's no bottleneck. Once that 60 seconds is up, there is no reps. That's what's great about this workout. There's no reps. You're not focusing on a guy or girl to get through 10 reps. It's how many can they do on the single leg, for example, in 30 seconds, and then they move to the right. How many can they do, and then they move. So it's just follow the line every 60 seconds, and that could be a 10-minute workout, a 15-minute workout, or a 20-minute workout. Does that answer the question, Andrea?
I think so. Steph, did that answer your question? Yes, it sure did.
Very good.
Made sense to me. Okay, who else has questions? We've got a great resource here. Let's use it.
while we're waiting for questions to come in, Andrea,
Yeah.
a couple of things that I want to note that I didn't cover here.
Yeah.
When you're doing workouts, for all of you coaches that are doing workouts, please, please, please don't do the same workout. If you're doing workouts 3 days a week, let's just say, don't do the same workout all 3 days.
Mm.
You want to go ahead and have multiple workouts each day. You don't want the body to adapt to a certain skill. You want to always shock the body and help the body improve. Also, the positive side is that it's a breath of fresh air. If a girl or a guy comes in, every single time and says, oh my gosh, I got to do scissors again. I do that as like every day or every other day. Maybe it's only on the Monday. On the Wednesday, the scissors not even a part of the workout, or single leg lunge hops are not even a part of the Friday workout, or whatever the case may be. Vary your workout plans throughout the week. Don't let it be the same. And that's another mistake that I didn't call out here that I've seen from schools.
I think that's a great point. That's really smart. Okay, any other questions? The questions will come after we're done.
I'm sure. And I see a typo. Generally, I'm very thorough. You can see my email address it says SSO. Please, everybody know that it's sspfit.com.
Okay, perfect. Got it. Oh, okay, here's a question. Does someone come to help get started, or do you just help via Facebook?
Great question. And this has more detail on our website. So when we first got started, we generally were, a very high touch organization. So we went to the schools. So we didn't offer individual Facebook or video or anything. We would go to the schools, meet with the coaches, sit down and say, what do you want to accomplish? What's your routine look like this year? And they would tell us, and they would tell us what they want to accomplish. And then we said, okay, great. We're going to develop a program for you. We're going to come back and we're going to demo it. We're going to show every single person on your team how to do it. And we're going to be there on campus with you and do this for you. And we still do that. So we have membership that you can go on the private Facebook and be a part of if that's all you want. Or you can reach out to us and tell us what you would like, and we can develop a custom plan that we will actually go to your campus and help you get started. We can go there during the phases. We can be there to support you. We can be there to work with captains, work with strength and conditioning. So that is a service where we were founded on, and we still do that today. And frankly, I would have to say that's where you're going to get your greatest value, is having us there with you on site.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I would agree. So this is just a comment that they like that you'll do hands-on and help get started with demonstration.
Yep, absolutely. And one of the things too, and I don't know if this is relative, but it's a point that's overlooked. When we come out, and I'm just going to talk about myself here. When I come out to a school, the first thing I do is talk to your dancers. Mm. And I tell them that their dance is a sport. The dancers, they are athletes just like any other sport. So for me, it is important that they understand that their workouts, their work matter. And because it matters, I tell every single one of them that what you have to do in 2.5 minutes or 2 minutes is so nerve-wracking. You practice and you work all season for that 2.5 minutes. And you can't make a mistake. It's not like baseball that you get down by 5 runs. It's okay. We got 4 innings left to go. We can make those runs up. So that's why I tell these dancers and these athletes that, you guys are some of the best athletes I've ever been around, because it's a rigid level of discipline that takes at the very beginning of the season to buy into the process and to work at your workouts, work at your practices, work on your technique, work on your performance through your facial, everything. It is a discipline that starts at the beginning. It just doesn't all of a sudden come a month before competition.
Right, right. And really, Rob, there's an element of owning that mentality that the dancers are athletes. They're
Yeah,
really,
absolutely.
yep.
Yeah, I was talking to a high school this week, and I looked at them in the face and I said, "You guys are some of the best athletes that are out there." And they looked and they said, "Well, he just called us athletes." Darn
Right.
right you are. Darn right you are.
Yep. What other questions or comments do you all have? We're at the top of the hour, but I'm sure we can sneak another one in if we have one. Okay. Thanks to Rob and Andrew for taking the time to talk with us, coaches. Great info is the comment. That's awesome. And with that, I'll segue. Thanks for those comments and questions. But wow, Rob, this was awesome information, incredibly valuable. Another awesome info. Loved everything. Way to go, Rob. You're getting thumbs up all around.
Excellent. Thank
So,
you.
you know what? I appreciate your passion and love for dance and your expertise, and I love that they can be married and share with all of us. So, I hope coaches that are on and are listening to this later that you can get some really valuable nuggets that are going to elevate your team. And I really think that, Rob, what you have here is relevant for all teams and all levels, whether you have a huge budget or not. And I love that it doesn't have to be done at a gym. And, you know, these dancers can take ownership personally and do these workouts on their own at home and in the summers. So I think, oh my goodness, back to my days, where was this?
Yeah.
We didn't really do this. So I think it's amazing. And thank you so much for your time, Rob. And all the coaches that are on and listening later, I hope you got a lot out of this too. And thank you for your time. So a couple more comments here. Thank you, Rob. Much appreciated. And thank you for all the information. So with that, I hope everyone enjoys their evening and their weekend coming up. Have a great night, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.